So, okay, continuing what I was doing, what I need now is to get some string. And I remember that I created something for that. I just don't remember the name. Let me check again. I'm using the zip compressor and the compressor to read parameters and labels, so it's faster. But but I'm not going to use that. I need to be able to read the string directly. And the pipe, if I recall, has no option for that. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that. Check. Yeah, just read the buffer. So I need to create one for strings. When sending a string, I can just send the characters one by one, or the actual size of the string. So I'm going to create another call. So I have the get event, the get event string. That should work. I just have to be careful with the size of the string. So we start the process. Whoops. And here I have to get while the process is running, and just going to go while process is running. The value is going to be a character, size of char, which should be 1 byte. So okay, that's very simple. While the process is running, I'm going to check the value, which is a character. If it's 0, it's going to break, or it's going to append a string of that value to the string output. You can put a maximum value of very large in here. I'm not going to be using anything larger than this anyway. So that should work. That name, event name. Now here, get name. I can just go with get event string, get event name. I forgot the index. So if it finds, it returns the name of that from the external process. I'll have to fix it. Add this guy here. And if the value is not -1, just after the event name, I send the index value. Okay. And for the label, I have to do the same thing. And there's another thing I forgot. On the get name, there's a maximum lane in here. So I can go as substring 0 and the end index. I think that should work. But I don't think that's going to work, because if what happens if it's less than that? Yeah, that should work. I have to test if it's not going to get me a subscription out of range in here. So I have to test that. Now I can go for the label. The label is just the same as this guy, but there is no maximum length. And there's no substring in here. Get name, get label instead. And I'm going to add this in here, get label. Oh, and you have to get the text too. And the get text is a bit different. Because we're inputting the value and the maximum length. That's going to be a bit trickier. Well, it's still going to get from the index. So the other code is going to handle the actual value. I'm not going to bother in here. So okay, you have the basic setup. You can see there's a lot of code already. And just to already give some to work with. Oh yes, you can do this. Uh, okay, this look good. So let's see if it's just this code is being fired up. I'm not going to debug right now. It's just easier to put an alert instead in there, just to be sure it's running, and this should not be running. I'm going to add more checks later on. So if the things keeps on crashing, it's going to advert on that. I also need to buffer things out in here, like memory block, state, buffer state information. So when I create the external process, if just a minute. Hey Damien, just a minute. I'm going to charge something for my wife. Hey dude. So if the buffer state information is not empty, so what can you get? Size. Get size. It's higher than 0. We can send the state information. And then we clear reset, I think. Yeah, reset. So here, set state information will be around here. So here, I'm going to check. If the stereo process is not running, I'm going to store this to the buffer state information. We reset first, just in case. Oh, by the way, how is the audio coming out? I got a new microphone. My voice is not the best today, but it's okay. But from what I tested and heard, it already sounds much cleaner than before. It's a better microphone. Okay, so if you receive a set state information, but the process is not running, let's say the process just crashed and the host is sending a new state information from a project, let's say, you just load the project, and we're going to store this on a buffer place. So when we get to run it again, we can send that over. So let me see how I did this on the Piped plugin, because I know it's already there somewhere. I think I just write all the bytes. Let me see, I have the data block. Okay, that's reading. Oh, it just writes the whole thing directly. I just start with a control byte. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. So now I'm going to create another event. Set state. Get state. So I can copy from here. It's pretty much the same. I'm going to get the size and the data. So we start sending information, the event set state. Get the size and send the whole thing with 8 seconds of maximum time allowed to send this over, which is just ridiculous, but just in case. So it sends the processing state. Okay. Well, that's all good. And when we receive the state is the same thing. Let me copy this over. For the set state information, actually, I'm going to do different. I'm always going to copy this guy over because then this way. Yes, this is Wusik Station version 9, and also it's going to be for the other programs. It's a new code, and it's going to help all the other projects out, not just Wusik Station. Oops. So we're not going to reset the buffer state information. It's actually I should not reset any in any place because um, if something happens, I have a copy of the state information. And I can update this state information every time something happens on the plugin that is like a big event or something like that. So if it crashes, it has a copy of that. So let me check. That's information. Okay, I'm going to reset and append. And I'm going to send it to the plugin if the process is running. And during the initial serial process, I also send it over, but I don't erase. Sure thing. Yeah, okay, that's good. And now to get the state information is a bit different. Let me see how I do it. I did it on a Pipette plugin. Close everything here. So let's get state. Hmm. Oh, it's almost the same thing, but I check if the process is running. I get from the pipe. Otherwise, I get from the internal copy, which is this one. And destination data. Ouch. Actually, I have to make a copy of this. So destination reset, append destination data. I can go like this. No, not append. Copy from. How can I copy one from another? I do like this. Don't know. Not sure about that. I want to copy. I know what the equals operator is doing. Copy another, maybe we'll copy into this one. Ah, okay, it's going to copy. That's good. So, okay, when the get state information is requested, I'm going to request from the child process, the external process, and also going to copy this information to my buffer state information. So I know this is updated. Well, that's pretty much it for now. Now the editor is a bit more complicated because I have to create a dummy editor based on the size of the actual editor. So the editor must check. You can see on my Piper plugin already have the open editor option and the editor position of the window and the editor size. And you can also close the editor because let's say I close my window and the editor is open on the external process, I have to close that too so it doesn't stay open. That's how I do on the bridge code. Yeah. So this is a good start already. So I already have all the required stuff to start. I'm already buffering a few options. I have the prepare to play, which I have to send with the sample rate, the samples per block. I'm going to remove for now because it's all going to change because I have to do it in a different way. So let me check my prepare to play. Oh, I'm doing the process block. I don't recall exactly why I did in here, but there must be a reason for that. I don't always remember why I do the things I do, so. But mostly something happened in the juice code that I didn't understand or was just playing wrong sometimes because it's a big code. You can imagine that sometimes things just go bad. Prepare to play. Oh, I'm making a copy of these guys, the sample rate and the last samples per block. That's nice to have. Let me put this in here. Operate, I think, is double. Yeah. This is just int 64 bits. 64 bits int. And I'll have to initialize these guys. Put 64 samples on the block. What? Where did I get that? Third play. And now on my actual prepare to play code, I just go like this. Ah, I see the problem. Okay, on the process block now, I can check for that. And then I send the information of the prepare to play. Send process command. What's the difference? Oh, let me check. Oh, and load plugin. If the plugin it's good. There's another thing I'm overlooking. Oh, there is the processing variable. Because every time I have to do something more critical, I have to stop the processing for some reason. So I'm going to use that variable. Like this. Processing is true. And when it ends, if the process is still running, it's set as true. Otherwise, it's still false. That's a nice thing to have in here. Where's my guy? This initial processing. There's the processing stage. Now the same send process command. I don't really recall what it does. Oh, it sends a command to the processing pipe. Why did I create this? I don't know. Just to make it more clear, I guess. Well, I'm going to put this in there. And of course, I have to create this guy. I'm going to put the process at the bottom so it's easy for me to find because I'm going to do a lot of stuff on this guy. I could use separate files, but I'm not going to bother for now. Where to play? I didn't create one. Oh, I didn't create one. It's not child process anymore, it's external process. So I send the prepared to play information. Now, doing here. Oh, I have the automations too that I have to. Uh, some other things in here that. Yeah, all for the automation. I can receive automation from the plugin and also send automation. Mm-hmm. So it's two arrays actually. Using the magnitude in here. Or what? Oh, to check for the audio input. Interesting. I send the audio input, then I take care of the automation. Well, I can use all the stuff in here. And I can see that we also use this processing in here. So it's actually I'm doing. I added something the wrong way. This processing is for something else. Checking processing false. I'm not going to use. It's actually true when I'm loading something. And on the end, the processing is false. But I also want to add this ready variable, which I don't use on the Piper plugin, but it's not ready. I'm going to exit and ready if the processor is still running. It's good. I'm going to wait for 100 milliseconds. So if the process is still running inside the process block, can stop before I overwrite anything. And I can also call spend processing through just to be really sure it's going to stop processing. Other option, no, that's good. dispense processing false. Now I can copy this. So if it's processing is not ready, or processing or not external process is running, then it's going to return. Otherwise, it starts processing. And on the end, it ends processing. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to copy all the code that actually sends the information to the plugin and receives the information back. Because I need to send several things in here. So instead of child process, I have to replace this guy for external process. I have to create the automations too. Let me check the automations now. I have to get the current position info. This is the audio playhead. This is going to get me information about the sequencer, if it's running or not, because some plugins use that. And also other things that I don't recall right now, but it's really important. Where is the automations? Send automations. Send automation selection. Receive automation is receive automation select. Oh, because it's two buffers. I'm using two buffers. I don't really remember. Oh, so I can ping pong from one buffer to the other buffer. And I'll have to create the automations also. Automation. The float and the parameter. Oh, that's very nice. Put them in here. Because if for some reason going on, complain about everything. It's time. Automations, parameter value. It's a class. Complaining so much. I hate when this happens. Yeah, because I have completed the code yet, but well, anyway. So let me first check. Where is my this guy? Let me first check this guy where it goes the code. No, not this. Starts up in the loading area. Okay. Then sends on the process. Ah, okay, in here. It's already in there, so it's not a problem. I'll just have to take a look on the automations. Automation. Oh, starts with 0. Huh. Okay. This is receiving from the timer callback. Now the timer is checking if the process is still running. If not, it tries to reload. And every number of seconds, 1 second for the timer. So every 20 seconds. No, that's not right. It's not right. That's weird. But every now and then it's going to refetch the memory block for the state information. But this number is weird. Ah, okay, start timer 1. Okay, that's it. So every 20 seconds. That's correct. Now the automation. This is interesting. I received automation, and when you have some automation to send, I send for the timer, not from the process block. I remember I had some problems sending from the process block. I don't recall exactly what it was, but it didn't work. So that's why I'm using 2 buffers. So I'm going to also add the timer there. Okay, I see on the set parameter, it adds an automation. Okay, that's interesting. That's actually a very nice code. So I'm going to just reuse that. But first thing I'm going to do is the timer. So just add a public timer to the call. Is it? No. Here, public timer, and then we'll add the timer callback, which is this guy. Just have to check something on the internet. No. Just a minute. I'm just going to do something quickly in here. Um, just 1 minute. Where is it now? Every time I try to find something. Okay, I found it. Okay, let's continue. So I have added a color, the timer color callback, and mm, like my callback in here. Just going to copy this whole callback for now. We're going to do a few things in here on the load. So timer stop or stop timer. Stop timer. 1 second. And I'm going to put the timer in here. And so for every timer callback, I just stop the timer. I'm going to check if the process is still loading. This I have to check if we're going to do from here or in some other way. Now, what's the audio owner? I don't recall exactly. Oh, the original, because the Piper plugin is a different class, so I need to know what's the audio owner. So in this case, I don't use it. I just go directly to the plugin code instead, and it should work. So every 1 millisecond, it checks for any automation, and it should work. So we have the timer now. The timer is starting where the process starts, and now I have to I'm going to always add my external variable. I'm going to check later if the automation really needs a buffer and to be set in the timer. Otherwise, I'm going to just put it directly. Maybe on the Pipette plugin, I was doing with a buffer because this is not the actual plugin, but a code that's running inside the plugin. And here we are the plugin, so we could just go directly. But I'm going to test it out and see how it works or anything else. So this is pretty much a good start already. Should do the processing and everything else. I'm going to let me check in here. When checking the automations, I send automations or anything else. I get a number of samples. All right, the number of samples. I check the number of channels. I could leave the number of channels there. So this code also works on the multi output and input version. Output actually. So it is doing per channel in here. It's setting the playhead and is also sending the MIDI messages in here. Just a raw data pointer to the MIDI message directly. Then it starts getting the output samples from the external process and any extra automation that was sent from the external process. Yeah, that's good. That's actually very good. Now the state counter, not sure I'm going to be using like this, but it's a good idea. Let me check one thing here. State counter is just an integer number. Yeah, very simple. Which I have to declare at start. It's always good. And if external process running, active editor. Don't understand why I'm worrying about the editor here. Ah, of course, because if the editor is closed, nothing is being changed. You don't have to worry about it. And check if the get state information already copies. Yeah, it already copies to the buffered state information, so I don't have to recopy again. And the child process running, I have to check actually. So if is ready and external process is not running, something bad happening. We're going to load the going to reload the thing again. And what's the name of the event? Oh, initial external process. Just like that. So if it's some reason it's no longer running, but it was supposed to be running because it was ready before, I'm going to restart and try to run again. Just so we don't end up on a endless loop and freezes. I can check, let's say, if this the process is not running for like 10 seconds, I can add a check in here. So int not running counter, because that's very nice to have. I'm going to put this right on the top. If it's not running, run counter plus. Else running counter is 0. If running counter is larger than 20 seconds, 20 seconds is a lot. 8 seconds. Then we can initialize the process again. I think that's correct. I have to check that. So we're going to see about that. So now the second part is to actually get the Wusik engine code